In the endless silence between galaxies, a single heartbeat echoed, not of a mortal, but of a memory. The memory of a world reduced to dust and rage. Planet Vegeta, home of the proud Saiyan race, burned long ago beneath the hand of tyranny. Yet in another universe, where divine hands shaped destiny differently, a whisper crossed the void. What if Goku had chosen to bring his people back? Before we step into this alternate destiny, remember to join the journey so our timelines may never fade into silence. The void trembled. Light rippled through the infinite dark like breath across water, soft yet vast enough to shake creation itself. The Super Dragon Balls hung suspended between galaxies, each the size of a star, each pulsing with the heartbeat of eternity. They were not simply relics of power. They were memory incarnate, the language of gods written in gold. Before them stood Son Goku, not as a warrior hungry for challenge, but as a soul weighted by remembrance. He had fought gods, angels, and demons, seen universes born and erased with the flick of divine hands. Yet, in the silence after so many battles, another sound had begun to echo within him, the faint, almost human ache of wondering what it all meant. Power had taken him far beyond mortality, but the higher he rose, the more he felt the gravity of what had been lost beneath his flight. Planet Vegeta, the birthplace of his blood, the home of a people whose pride burned brighter than their mercy. Destroyed, erased beneath Frieza's hand, and in that annihilation, something in the universe grew quieter. Goku had never cared for kings or lineage. He had grown on Earth, under the open sky, where kindness mattered more than power. But now, with the dragon god's gaze upon him, his heart whispered a truth he could no longer ignore. Strength meant nothing if it could not heal the scars it once failed to protect. Super Shenron, Goku said, his voice steady but trembling with reverence. I wish for the rebirth of planet Vegeta, not in my universe, but in Universe 6, where Saiyans still live, where they can grow without the chains of the past. The cosmos fell silent. Even Whis, ever smiling, tilted his head in quiet curiosity. Champa blinked, unsure if this was madness or grace, and Beerus, though his tail flicked with irritation, said nothing. Perhaps even destruction bowed for a moment to the courage of creation. The golden dragon's eyes opened. Each pupil was a sun. Each breath was the wind of galaxies. The words it spoke were not sound, but vibration, an ancient rhythm that made even gods kneel within themselves.
Your wish has reached eternity. The universe rippled. Across dimensions, across realities, something began to remember itself. Dust turned to soil. Silence turned to the roar of an atmosphere reborn. The lifeless shadow of a dead world drew breath once more. Twin suns rose over crimson lands, and beneath them, the first heartbeat of the new planet Vegeta thundered through the cosmos. And with that heartbeat, life. Far away, beneath the new twin suns, a young Saiyan opened her eyes. Her name was Caulifla, and her blood sang. Not from rage, but from recognition. Somewhere deep in her DNA, ancient memories flickered. The cries of warriors long dead, the fall of a red sky, the explosion that once scattered their pride across eternity. She rose from the ground where she had been training, her aura flickering with restless light. What was that? She muttered. It felt like the whole world just woke up. In the nearby city, Kaba sensed it too, a pulse that was both familiar and foreign, like a voice from before time. Something's changed, he whispered. The planet itself feels alive. And from far above, in the space between stars, the angels watched. Whis smiled faintly, his staff shimmering with light. "He's done it," he said softly. "Kakarot has rewritten the song the gods thought forgotten." Beerus huffed. Foolish, playing with the order of universes like that." But beneath his growl there was no malice, only a wary respect, because even the god of destruction knew that creation, when born from love, could not be undone easily. When Goku arrived on the reborn world, the air felt heavier, not with danger, but with destiny. The ground itself hummed under his feet. The forests were vast, thick with crimson leaves that shimmered like Ki itself. Oceans glowed faintly beneath starlight. It was as if the planet remembered what it once had been and what it refused to be again. Whis floated beside him, serene. "So, how does it feel?" He smiled, though his eyes were distant, like something I didn't know I was missing just came home. Whis tilted his staff, watching energy currents flow through the planet's surface. "You've done something no mortal has ever dared to do. You've changed the fabric of a universe not through battle, but through mercy. Do you know what that means?" Goku looked toward the horizon, where the twin suns met in golden fire. "It means maybe we Saiyans can start over, the right way." We smiled gently. "Perhaps. But remember, Goku, even a new beginning carries the weight of old shadows." As if summoned by those words, a distant thunder rolled across the horizon, and from that storm a figure stepped forth. Tall, proud, eyes sharp as blades forged in memory. King Vegeta.
Not a ghost, not a reincarnation, but a fragment of what the Super Dragon Balls had remembered, the spirit of leadership, reborn as flesh. His voice was deep, regal, and heavy with disbelief. "Who dares to resurrect my world?" Goku turned, his heart steady, though a flicker of guilt passed through his gaze. "My name's Son Goku, a Saiyan like you. I brought your planet back." King Vegeta's aura flared deep red and gold. "You, a low-class warrior, dares to play God? You think the Saiyan race needed saving by an earth-raised fool?" For a moment, the air burned. But then, Goku smiled. "I didn't save anyone. I just gave them another chance." The king stared, the weight of pride and confusion wrestling within him. And for the first time, he saw in Goku's eyes not rebellion, not mockery, but purity. A strength born not from conquest, but from heart. It unsettled him. "Another chance," King Vegeta murmured, glancing at the twin suns. "Then let us see what becomes of it." That night, as the planet slept beneath its crimson sky, Goku stood alone on a cliff overlooking the city below. He could feel the heartbeat of the world pulsing beneath him, like the rhythm of destiny itself. He had done what no god dared. He had resurrected not just a planet, but a possibility. And yet, something stirred. In the deep, molten core of the world, a faint crackle of Ki moved, not in harmony, but in discord. A fragment of the old rage, the ancestral wrath of a race once drunk on battle. The Super Dragon Balls could create life, but they could not erase memory. Goku opened his eyes, the wind carrying the faint sound of Saiyan laughter from afar. "I guess it's not over," he whispered. Whis' voice came softly from behind him. "Creation never is." The night deepened. The stars watched in silence. And, far beyond them, a new thread had been woven into the grand tapestry of fate, the rebirth of a race, the return of its pride, and the test whether mercy could survive within the heart of warriors. The Saiyans had been given a second life, but what they did with it would decide the destiny of universes. Goku breathed out slowly, the air shimmering around him. "All right," he said softly. A small smile cut through the cosmic wind. "Let's see if we can do it right this time." The dawn that followed was unlike any other. Twin suns bled golden light across the horizon, casting the surface of the new planet Vegeta in hues of crimson and amber. The air itself shimmered with divine energy, as if the world had been woven from pure ki. Every breeze carried a whisper, not of life beginning, but of life remembering. The reborn Saiyans stirred, unaware that they walked on a world forged by a mortal's wish. Goku stood on a plateau overlooking the capital. The city pulsed with vitality, a strange fusion of ancient pride and untamed future. Towers of black stone rose like spires of ambition, and the skies were alive with the glow of training auras. Saiyans, warriors by instinct, survivors by blood, had begun to rebuild without needing to be told. They were born into motion, into conflict, into purpose. Whis hovered beside him, watching quietly as Goku's eyes traced the horizon. "They're different," Goku murmured. Whis smiled faintly. "Rebirth always comes with change. The Super Dragon Balls drew from the memory of Saiyan essence, not from their destruction. What you see are Saiyans unburdened by Frieza's chains, yet still haunted by what they once were." Goku nodded slowly. "So this time, maybe they can learn what strength really means." But even as he spoke, the ground trembled. A pulse of wild ki exploded in the distance, raw, untempered, and furious. A streak of red light tore through the sky, slamming into the earth below with enough force to shake the mountains. Goku vanished in an instant, leaving only a faint shimmer in the air where he had been standing. When he arrived, the landscape was cracked and scorched. Smoke rose from a crater, and in its center stood a young Saiyan, broad-shouldered, dark-eyed, his aura still flaring with rage. He looked around wildly, panting, as if he had awoken from a nightmare. Goku stepped forward, hands raised in peace. "Easy there, pal. You're all right." The Saiyan's eyes locked onto him. "Who are you?" "Name's Goku. I'm like you, a Saiyan." The warrior frowned, his confusion laced with anger. "Saiyan, you lie. I remember the fall of our world. I remember Frieza's betrayal." He clenched his fists, and the air vibrated with power. "How can we be alive?" Goku's gaze softened. "Because someone believed we deserved another chance." The warrior stared at him, the fury in his ki flickering with uncertainty. Another chance? He turned his eyes skyward, to the twin suns, to the unfamiliar stars. "Then this isn't the same planet Vegeta." "No," Goku said quietly. "It's something better." For a long moment, neither spoke. The wind howled through the ruins. Then the warrior exhaled slowly, letting his aura fade. "If this is truly a new world, then we'll need strength to protect it. Real strength." Goku grinned. "That's what I came to teach." In the following days, Goku became both stranger and teacher. He moved among the reborn Saiyans, sparring with them, guiding them, not through dominance, but through patience. He taught them to feel ki not as weapon, but as life, to sense the balance between fury and stillness. Some listened, others mocked. Yet slowly the idea took root. Power could serve more than pride. Among those who listened most intently were Caulifla and Kaba, bright spirits drawn to Goku's warmth like moths to flame. But others, born closer to the planet's old bloodlines, felt something darker stirring. They called themselves the heirs of the throne, descendants of royal pride reborn with sharper edges. King Vegeta stood at their head, his aura deep and steady, like a volcano sleeping beneath snow. He watched Goku's teachings with suspicion. "Compassion," he said one night to his generals. "A Saiyan's strength lies not in mercy, but in conquest. This Kakarot has forgotten who we are." Yet deep within him, a seed of doubt lingered, small, quiet, persistent. Because he could not deny what he had seen. Goku's strength was born of something far beyond blood or rage. It was something the old Saiyans had never known: peace. Weeks passed. The new planet Vegeta flourished. Fields glowed under twin suns. The cities expanded. The Saiyan race, reborn, thrived. But one night, as Goku sat beneath the stars, meditating, feeling the pulse of this world,
A voice entered his mind. Soft, ancient, neither divine nor mortal. You have done what even gods fear to do. You have woven resurrection into destiny. But every rebirth demands balance. The old energy you revived still hungers. Goku's eyes snapped open. The air around him grew cold, as if the planet itself were listening. "Who are you?" he asked aloud. "I am the echo of what you saved, and soon you will face the shadow of what you awakened." Then silence. Only the wind moved, slow, heavy, uncertain. Goku looked toward the horizon, where the first light of dawn began to break. The world shimmered, beautiful and fragile, like the first breath of creation. He smiled softly. "Then I'll just have to protect it." Far above, in the void between universes, a ripple of gold passed through the stars, faint but vast enough to make even angels pause. Something ancient had begun to stir. Night fell like a veil of violet flame over the new world. Twin suns sank beneath the horizon, leaving streaks of amber fading into cosmic blue. On the high cliffs that overlooked the capital, the stars burned brighter than Goku had ever seen, as if this planet, this second birth of Saiyan pride, was itself being watched by the universe. He sat cross-legged, eyes closed, breathing steady. The air around him vibrated faintly, the pulse of planet Vegeta's core resonating with his own ki. In that harmony, he could feel the living world beneath him. Every flicker of power, every stirring heart, every whisper of wind passing through the crimson forests. It was not silence, he felt. It was listening. And within that listening, a shadow.
He opened his eyes. The horizon flickered, as though space itself had taken a breath. From the distance came a sudden scream of ki, sharp, violent, primal. It wasn't training, it was pain. Goku vanished in an instant, leaving only the rustle of displaced air behind him. He reappeared in the valley lit by wildfire. The earth was scorched, trees torn apart by shockwaves of uncontrolled energy. A group of Saiyans surrounded a crater, their auras burning with aggression and confusion. At the center lay a single warrior, a young woman, armor cracked, her golden hair flickering between black and bright flame. Caulifla. Her body convulsed as ki surged wildly through her veins. Kaba knelt beside her, shouting over the roar. She was training. She said she felt something calling her, and then this started. Goku stepped forward, his expression calm but focused. Step back. He placed his hand near Caulifla's chest, feeling the unstable rhythm of her ki, pulsing with golden fury but twisting in unnatural resonance. Something was awakening within her, something ancient. Goku closed his eyes. His own aura expanded, flowing into hers like a river meeting a storm. Slowly, carefully, he began to steady the current. Easy now. Don't fight it. Feel it. Her breathing slowed. The violent sparks around her began to dim, shifting from chaotic bursts to steady, rhythmic light. When she opened her eyes, they glowed faintly gold. What was that? Goku smiled gently. You touched the memory of your blood, the old power that sleeps in all Saiyans, the Super Saiyan state, but purer, wilder. You almost lost control. Caulifla's brow furrowed. Then why did it feel familiar, like something deep inside me was screaming to wake up? Goku's eyes drifted to the sky. Because it's not just your power, it's the planet's. Later, as the night deepened, Goku and Whis stood beside a pool of silver water that reflected the stars above. Energy shimmered faintly across its surface, rippling whenever the wind spoke. The world's ki is intertwined with the Saiyans themselves. When you wished for planet Vegeta's rebirth, the Super Dragon Balls didn't simply recreate matter. They restored the planet's soul. And that soul remembers everything. The rage, the pride, the death. Goku crossed his arms, eyes narrowing. So when Caulifla lost control, Whis finished. She wasn't just feeling her own power. She was feeling the echo of her ancestors. Their fury lingers, like thunder trapped beneath stone. Goku exhaled slowly. Then I'll have to teach them to master it before it masters them.
Whis coughed softly, and so the student becomes the teacher once more. But tell me, Goku, why this wish? Why now? You've had chances to wish for strength, immortality, even understanding beyond mortal reach. Why this? For a moment Goku said nothing, then, with quiet conviction, because every fight I've ever had came from something broken. Frieza's hate, Cell's pride, Zamasu's judgment. If I can fix even one thing at its root, maybe we won't need to keep fighting forever. Whis' serene smile faltered just slightly. A mortal chasing peace to the resurrection of his own bloodline. The cosmos will be curious. Goku looked toward the distant mountains where the Saiyan city lights glowed like embers. Let them be. I'm done running from what we were. It's time we learned what we can be. But elsewhere, deep beneath the planet's crust, something ancient stirred, a whisper of heat within the molten core. It was neither alive nor dead, but aware. A faint red light pulsed within the darkness, like a heart remembering pain. From that light came a voice, fragmented, distorted, half memory, half will. We were kings of fire, torn from the stars, destroyed by fear. Now reborn, we shall not kneel again. The core shuddered. Energy veins spread through the mantle, pulsing in sync with the Saiyans above. The planet was alive, but so was its shadow. At dawn, Goku stood once more on the cliffs, the wind carrying the distant roar of training battles below. Saiyans soared through the air, golden light flashing like lightning beneath twin suns. The race was thriving, growing stronger by the day. And yet, in the stillness between those roars, he could feel it, a second heartbeat beneath the world's surface, slow, heavy, waiting. He smiled faintly, though his gaze was distant. A new beginning always comes with a test, he murmured. Guess it's time to see if we're ready. Whis appeared behind him, folding his hands. And if they're not? Goku's aura shimmered gently, like dawn touching water. Then I'll remind them what it means to fight for something more than power. He looked up at the sky, vast, infinite, filled with possibility, and for a moment he could almost hear the stars whispering back. The new planet Vegeta was alive, not merely in the way of soil and breath, but in the way of spirit, restless, awakening, searching for meaning. Its twin suns rose higher with every day, casting long shadows that danced across the crimson plains. And beneath those suns, the Saiyans, reborn from silence, grew stronger. But strength was never simple for their kind. It was both gift and poison. It carried memory. It whispered hunger. Goku walked among them quietly, his ji fluttering in the dry wind. Everywhere he went, he saw the reflection of what once was. Warriors sparring until their bones cracked, children already mimicking fighting stances, and voices speaking of pride, honor, conquest. Yet within those echoes, there were new tones, laughter, cooperation, even curiosity. It was not the old planet Vegeta. It was something else, something becoming. At the training grounds, the air burned with light. Dozens of Saiyans clashed in midair, their ki trails slicing through the sky like comets. The energy of their evolution filled the horizon, fierce, unrestrained, raw. And among them shone three distinct flames. Caulifla, fiery and defiant, pushed her aura until the ground split beneath her feet. Cabba, calm but resolute, held the line against her assault, his golden form flickering like a steady flame. And behind them, silent yet immense, Kale struggled to contain her own power, her body trembling with a force that felt both divine and monstrous. Goku landed nearby, folding his arms, his expression calm but watchful. "You're getting stronger," he said softly as the three warriors turned toward him. "But remember, strength without stillness burns out fast." Caulifla grinned, brushing dust from her arm. "Stillness? That sounds boring. I'd rather burn out if it means pushing past my limits." Goku chuckled. "That's what I thought once too." Kaba approached, eyes bright. "Master Goku, when you first became a Super Saiyan, what did it feel like?" Goku looked to the horizon, his voice lowered, soft as memory. "Like grief and rage had become light. Like my heart broke, but my spirit refused to fall with it. That's what made it strong." The air around them quieted. Even Caulifla, brash and untamed, fell silent for a moment. Power isn't just about what you can destroy. It's what you can protect and what you can forgive. Kale looked down, her voice trembling. "But what if the power inside you doesn't want peace? What if it only wants to fight?" Goku smiled gently. "Then you teach it, the same way you teach a wild flame to warm instead of burn." Her eyes lifted, unsure, but in them something began to awaken. Not the wild green of her berserker state, but a steady, softer glow, the beginning of balance. As the training continued, whispers began to spread through the city. The earth-born Saiyan was changing them, making them weaker, some said. Others claimed he was showing them a strength that their ancestors had never understood. And far above, in the throne chamber carved from black stone and crimson glass, King Vegeta listened. The hall was vast, silent except for the hum of energy pulsing through its walls. He stood before the great window that overlooked the planet's heartlands, his cape catching the faint light of the suns. Behind him knelt his advisors, the heirs of the throne, those who remembered, through dream and blood, the old Saiyan dominion. "He teaches them mercy," said one advisor. "He dulls their blades." "He unites them," countered another. "But to what end? Mercy is not our way. Mercy is weakness." The king raised a hand, and silence fell. His eyes narrowed, his gaze lost in the horizon. "When I was reborn, I believed this world would rise as the old one should have, unbroken, unconquered. Yet this Kakarot fights not with power, but with peace. And somehow the universe bends around him." He turned, his voice low and controlled. "Tell me, is that weakness, or is that strength beyond our understanding?"
No one answered. For the first time in countless lifetimes, King Vegeta felt something unfamiliar. Not anger, not pride, but doubt. The Earth Saiyan carried no crown, no lineage, no claim to rule, and yet even the planet's energy seemed to listen to him. As he stared into the horizon, his reflection wavered in the glass, and for an instant he thought he saw another figure standing behind him. A man with hair like flame and eyes that burned with purpose. Vegeta, his son from another universe, the echo of what the royal bloodline could become. The vision faded, but the unease remained. That night, the city buzzed with energy. Saiyans gathered in taverns and arenas, voices rising like thunder. Some shouted of new destiny, others of lost honor. In the chaos, the same question rippled through them all. What does it mean to be Saiyan now? And as the stars turned above the crimson sky, that question reached the ears of those who watched from beyond. Far above, Whis and Vedas hovered in the emptiness between their universes, gazing down upon the glowing sphere of reborn Vegeta. "You see it, don't you?" Vedas murmured. Whis nodded. Goku's wish didn't just restore a planet, it awakened a philosophical paradox: Saiyan evolution without destruction. Vedas tilted her head, intrigued. And what of Champa? Does he understand the weight of what's been done in his universe? Whis smiled faintly. He sees it as entertainment, but the Grand Priest will not. Their gazes turned to the planet, where Goku stood upon a ridge, the wind tugging at his gi, watching the cities below. In his eyes was both pride and foreboding,
as though he could feel the shadow already rising beneath the beauty he had created. For creation was never separate from consequence, and in the heat of Saiyan hearts, something old was beginning to stir again. Not vengeance, but memory. The memory of what it meant to rule. The crimson dawn rose again over the new planet Vegeta, but its light felt different now, sharper, almost alive. Beneath its twin suns, an unseen tension crackled like static before a storm. Goku could sense it in every heartbeat, every clash of ki in the air. The Saiyans were changing, evolving faster than he expected, and not all evolution led upward. He walked through the training fields, watching as warriors tested themselves against one another with growing ferocity. The ground was scarred with impact craters, shock waves rattled the mountains. But it wasn't the destruction that worried him, it was the intent. The blows carried not camaraderie, but dominance, not growth, but hunger. When he arrived at the center ring, Caulifla and Kaba were locked in combat. Their power flared gold and bright, shaking the air itself. Kaba fought defensively, calm and measured, while Caulifla came at him like wildfire, fierce, unpredictable, radiant with pride. Their fists collided, creating a thunderclap that echoed across the plains. "Enough!" Goku's voice boomed, carried by controlled ki. Both froze instantly, panting, eyes wide.
He stepped between them, his expression unreadable. "You're fighting like you're trying to kill each other. Why?" Caulifla wiped the blood from her lip, smirking. "Because that's how Saiyans get stronger. Isn't that what you taught us?" Goku's gaze was steady, calm as stone. "I taught you to push past limits, not to lose yourselves to them." She frowned, the fire in her eyes dimming slightly. "Then how do we know where the line is?" Goku looked toward the horizon. "When you start fighting to prove something instead of to learn something, that's when you've already crossed it." The silence that followed was heavy. Even the air seemed to still, listening. Kaba bowed his head respectfully. "We understand, Master Goku." But Caulifla turned away, biting her tongue. Inside her, something burned. Frustration, admiration, confusion, all tangled together. She didn't know whether to worship him or surpass him. Maybe both. That evening, the palace flared with light. The heirs of the throne had gathered again, the proudest of the reborn bloodlines, their armor glinting like obsidian under the torches. At the head of the long table sat King Vegeta, silent, watching his people debate what they could not yet name. "This world needs direction," said one warrior, his tone hard as iron. "We are reborn, yet leaderless. The Earthborn Saiyan preaches restraint, but what future is there in weakness?" Another replied sharply, "You call it weakness, but he defeated gods. His power is proof that peace does not mean surrender." "Peace," scoffed the first. "A Saiyan's heart knows only challenge, only battle." Their voices rose, overlapping into chaos. King Vegeta lifted a hand. Instantly, silence fell. He stood, his cape shifting like smoke behind him. His expression was carved from the same stone as his throne. "I have watched this Kakarot. His methods are foreign to our ways, yet his results are undeniable. Our warriors grow strong, but their hearts remain uncertain. He teaches balance, and perhaps that is what makes him dangerous." One advisor leaned forward. "Then what do you command, my king?" The king's gaze hardened. "We watch, we learn, and when the time comes, we decide if this peace is a blessing or a lie." The hall erupted in murmurs. Outside, thunder rumbled across the crimson sky, though no storm had yet formed. Elsewhere, far beyond the city, a storm of a different kind was brewing. Kale stood alone by a cliff's edge, her eyes distant as she stared into the burning horizon. The wind whipped through her hair, carrying the faint echoes of battle cries from the training fields below. Her body trembled, not from fear, but from what stirred inside her. The power she had once unleashed, wild, monstrous, uncontained, called to her again. But now she heard it differently. It wasn't no longer rage, it was sorrow. The voice of every Saiyan who had ever fallen screaming into darkness. They remember. They want to be heard. Hey, Caulifla's voice cut through her thoughts. The fiery Saiyan stepped up beside her, arms crossed, grinning faintly. You've been quiet lately, Kale. Thinking too much. That's Kaba's job.
Kale smiled weakly. I can't stop feeling it. This planet, it's alive, like it's talking to me. Caulifla tilted her head. What's it saying? That it's waiting. For something. For us. For a moment, the words hung between them, strange, haunting. Caulifla laughed softly, trying to shake it off. Maybe it's just all this training getting to your head, but if this planet's got something to say, it better speak up, 'cause we're not going anywhere. She punched Kale's shoulder playfully and turned away. But when she looked back, she caught something in Kale's eyes, a distant light, almost sacred, a quiet knowing. It unsettled her. Later that night, Goku stood again beneath the stars. The world was quiet, but not at peace. He could feel the unrest spreading like wind before a wildfire. The Saiyans' power grew daily, but so did their uncertainty. Their hearts were splitting along a fault line older than the universe itself. Pride versus purpose. He closed his eyes, sensing deeper. And there, far below, he felt it again. The heartbeat of the planet, louder now, more insistent, almost angry. Whis appeared beside him, staff glowing faintly. You feel it too. Goku nodded slowly. Yeah, it's like the planet's trying to say something, like it remembers who it was before. Whis' tone softened. Perhaps resurrection is not about bringing back what was lost, but what was unresolved. Goku opened his eyes. Then I guess I'll have to face it soon. Whis' smile faded slightly. And what if it doesn't wish to be faced? Goku's expression hardened. Then I'll remind it, even the strongest fire can learn to warm instead of burn. He turned toward the horizon where crimson clouds glowed faintly in the dark, as if the planet itself were breathing beneath its skin. Somewhere deep below, in the molten veins of the world, the light flared once more, brighter, angrier, awake. The next morning dawned heavy. The sky burned orange, yet the light seemed burdened, as if the suns themselves felt the tension of what was stirring below. From horizon to horizon, the hum of ki training resonated through the atmosphere. Every Saiyan was pushing harder, reaching higher, desperate to prove something not just to themselves, but to destiny itself. And beneath that rising energy, the planet trembled. Goku stood in the capital's courtyard as dust swirled around him. Hundreds of Saiyans gathered there, drawn by something invisible, a call neither divine nor mortal. It began with whispers, then voices, then a roar of fervor. At the center of the crowd stood a tall warrior draped in crimson armor, his black hair bound high like a flame. His eyes burned with certainty. "Brothers, sisters," he shouted, voice carrying like thunder. "We are Saiyans, forged from fire, not from mercy. Do you feel the blood of our ancestors stirring? Do you not hear the call of battle in your veins?" The crowd roared in answer. From the rooftops above, Kaba and Caulifla watched tensely. "That's Taurus, one of the heirs, King Vegeta's elite." Caulifla scowled. "He's stirring trouble. Look at them, they're eating it up."
Down below, Taurus continued, eyes glowing faintly gold. This earth-born stranger, this Kakarat, preaches restraint. But restraint is the language of the weak. Did our ancestors die for peace, or did they burn brighter than gods to claim their destiny?
The crowd's energy spiked, dust swirled, sparks of golden ki flashed through the mob. The hunger was spreading, the old Saiyan hunger, born of pride and conquest. Goku appeared before them in a blink. His arrival silenced everything, not by force, but by presence. The wind itself seemed to bow to his stillness. "I didn't come here to rule you," he said calmly, voice carrying over the restless energy. "I came to help you find something your ancestors never did: balance." Taurus sneered. "Balance?" He stepped forward, aura flaring. "We don't need balance, we need power." "You think power will make you free?" Goku asked softly. "I've been where that path ends. It doesn't free you, it owns you." Taurus spat on the ground, spoken like someone who's forgotten what it means to be Saiyan. He lifted his hands, palms sparking with golden light. "If you're so sure, then prove it. Show us that your peace is stronger than our rage." The challenge hit the air like lightning. The crowd erupted. Whispers turned to cheers, and in moments, the courtyard became a coliseum. Goku sighed quietly. He didn't want to fight, but he knew that sometimes peace had to wear the mask of battle. "All right," he said softly, removing his G's top and tightening his belt. "If this is what it takes to make you listen." The air cracked. Taurus roared, launching forward like a comet, his aura blazing gold. Goku met him effortlessly, parrying each strike with calm precision. The ground split beneath them. The force of their movements sent shockwaves rippling through the city. But as the battle raged, the difference became clear. Taurus fought to dominate. Goku fought to understand. His movements were art, fluid, patient, almost compassionate. Each time Taurus attacked, Goku redirected his energy, never striking to harm. "Why won't you fight back?" Taurus screamed, fury breaking his voice. "Because I'm not your enemy," Goku said. "You are." In that moment, Goku vanished. A flash of light, then Taurus was on the ground, his aura extinguished, chest heaving. Goku stood over him, calm, radiant. The silence that followed was absolute. Around them, the crowd's golden ki faded like dying embers. Even the wind seemed to pause, unsure of what to believe anymore. Goku looked down at Taurus and said quietly, "You can't build strength on fear. It collapses every time." Then he turned and walked away. Later that night, King Vegeta stood alone in the palace hall, his reflection cast in the crimson glass. Taurus knelt before him, defeated but alive. The king said nothing for a long time. When he finally spoke, his tone was measured, neither anger nor disappointment, but something deeper. He fought with pride, and he lost with it too. Taurus bowed his head. "He humiliated me, but he didn't kill me." The king's eyes narrowed. "Because he doesn't see you as an enemy."
Taurus frowned. Then what does he see? Possibility. The word lingered strange and heavy in the air. The king turned toward the window, watching the stars shimmer over the horizon. Perhaps we were not reborn to repeat ourselves. He murmured, "Perhaps this Goku is the fire that tempers us." Behind him, Taurus raised his head, uncertain. "You speak as though he were divine." The King Vegeta's lips curved faintly. "No, just something rarer, a Saiyan who's learned mercy." Far beneath them, deep in the molten heart of the world, the planet stirred again. Its energy had tasted battle. It remembered the clash of Saiyan blood. The ki of millions resonated through its crust, feeding the ancient consciousness that slept within. It spoke in vibration, not language, a hum that only the stars could hear. They rise again, the children of fire. They awaken the hunger we buried. The cycle begins anew. The magma flared red, brighter than before. Cracks spread through the ground above, small, invisible, but alive. The planet itself was beginning to feel. Goku stood at the edge of the great valley, watching the stars burn in silence. Whis appeared beside him once more, his expression unusually grave. "Your lesson took hold, but not the way you intended," Whis said softly. Goku nodded, eyes distant. "They're changing fast, maybe too fast. Their spirits remember everything, even the things you wished to leave buried. Be careful what you resurrect, Goku. Some hearts are easier to wake than to guide." Goku closed his eyes, feeling the pulse of the planet, the same rhythm he'd felt since the day of the wish, louder now, unsteady, like a heartbeat out of sync with life. He whispered, almost to himself, "Then I'll have to remind them what we were meant to become, not what we were." Above, the stars shimmered like eyes, watching, waiting, and beneath, the world turned in silence, carrying within its molten veins the memory of gods and ghosts alike. The world was restless. The crimson skies of planet Vegeta swirled with electric clouds that glowed faintly in the dark, like veins of ki pulsing across the heavens. The air trembled with power, not from one warrior but from thousands. Every day the Saiyans grew stronger. Every night the planet's heartbeat deepened, a steady rumbling thrum beneath the crust, like the slow exhale of something ancient waking. Goku stood in the highlands, eyes closed, his senses stretching beyond vision. The aura of the planet filled him, violent, beautiful, chaotic. He could feel it humming in sync with every Saiyan spirit. It wasn't just a world anymore. It was a living organism of pride, rage, and rebirth. And somewhere inside that pulse, there was pain. He remembered what Whis had said, "Be careful what you resurrect." The words echoed through his mind like a warning carved into eternity. A sharp flare of ki tore across the distance. He opened his eyes, vanishing instantly. Far below, in the southern plains, the Saiyan dominion had begun its rise.
The heirs of the throne had turned their pride into purpose. Where once they trained for strength, now they organized. Cities falling under their banners, warriors swearing allegiance not to learning, but to legacy. They called themselves the Dominion, and they wore the old symbols of the Saiyan Empire, reforged in black and crimson. Their leader was not King Vegeta. It was Terrace. The defeat he had suffered beneath Goku's hand had not broken him, it had purified him. His rage had found new shape, colder and more deliberate. He spoke of discipline and destiny, of restoring the race's rightful place among the stars. He said, "We were not reborn to serve peace, we were reborn to lead creation once more." And the people listened. They remembered their blood. They remembered conquest, and slowly, under the shadow of new towers and banners, they began to forget the quiet lessons Goku had offered. When Goku arrived, the city was burning, not from war, but from passion. Thousands of Saiyans filled the streets, chanting, roaring, their ki a storm of red light. Whis appeared beside him, silent. His calm eyes reflected the chaos below. He said, "They've turned their strength into faith, and faith can burn brighter than any flame." Goku's jaw tightened. They're not wrong to be proud, but they're chasing the same pride that destroyed them once already. Whis tilted his head. Then perhaps they need to see the difference between pride and purpose. Goku stepped forward, descending into the city square. The roar of the crowd faltered when they saw him, the Earth Saiyan who had brought them life, the savior they now saw as a heretic. Terrace emerged from the platform, his armor gleaming, his aura cold and precise. "You shouldn't have come," he said, voice steady as stone.
I had to. You're leading them toward the same darkness that erased the old world. Terrace's eyes flashed. You talk of darkness as if you've never stood in it yourself. You, who fought gods, who defied destruction, you are the darkness that made us. You think peace can cage what we are? Goku's gaze softened. Peace doesn't cage you, Terrace. It frees you. Terrace's lips curled. Then let's see whose freedom the universe remembers. His aura exploded, the ground cracked, the air split, and in a single motion, he launched himself forward, fists glowing with red gold light. Goku met him in silence. Their collision shattered the air like a scream of creation itself. Energy rippled outward in waves, bending the sky, shaking the towers to dust. The battle raged like storm and sun. Terrace fought with precision, each strike driven by purpose, by the belief that his cause was divine. Goku fought with stillness, his movements fluid, his power radiating calm through chaos. It was not rage meeting rage, it was will meeting compassion. Their fists collided again, and Terrace's energy flared blood red. You fight without fury, without pride, he shouted. Goku's voice echoed through the clash. Because fury fades, but mercy endures. He vanished behind Terrace, reappearing with a single open palm pressed to his back. A wave of pure ki surged outward, not destructive, but cleansing. It rippled through Terrace's body, extinguishing his aura like wind snuffing fire. Terrace fell to his knees, gasping. His eyes widened, not from pain, but from what he felt. The energy that filled him was warm, not burning. It carried no violence, only peace.
"What is this?" he whispered. Goku knelt beside him. "It's what power feels like when it's not afraid." For a long moment, Taurus said nothing. Around them, the crowd stood silent, their roars turned to awe. They had seen battles before, but never one like this. No rage, no conquest, just light. Then, faintly, Taurus smiled. "You're a fool," he said weakly, "but maybe a necessary one." He fell unconscious. Goku stood slowly, his aura fading. Above, the twin suns broke through the clouds, flooding the city in gold. The Saiyans watched, their pride trembling before something greater, not dominance, but grace. For a fleeting instant, the planet's heartbeats softened. Later, as the day waned, Goku sat upon a high ridge overlooking the silent city. Whis stood beside him, staff glimmering faintly in the dusk. "You fought with mercy," Whis said quietly, "and they saw it." "Maybe that's enough," Goku replied, eyes distant. "Maybe they'll start to understand." Whis gazed into the horizon. "And if they don't?" Goku smiled faintly. "Then I'll keep fighting until they do." But far beneath them, in the burning heart of the world, the old power stirred again. Louder, closer. The magma pulsed in rhythm with Goku's own heartbeat. It was waiting. It was listening. And it had begun to learn. That night, the stars over planet Vegeta burned with an unsettling brilliance, as if the cosmos itself leaned closer, watching. The planet's newly reborn atmosphere shimmered faintly, golden dust suspended in the wind, like the remnants of divine creation. Yet beneath that celestial calm, the land trembled with unease that no one could name. Goku stood alone at the edge of a massive canyon, the twin suns long fallen behind the horizon. The air was cool, but the ground beneath his feet pulsed with faint heat, alive, breathing, humming. He lowered his palm to the rock, and the vibration of the world entered him. It was rhythmic, almost like a voice, and it was angry. He closed his eyes, letting the whisper fill him. What he felt
was not malevolence, it was hunger. The same hunger that defined his people. A collective yearning of all Saiyan souls now condensed into the heart of this resurrected world. The planet was not just alive, it remembered. Every scream, every conquest, every fall, the wish that revived it brought back more than life. It awakened consciousness. You feel it too. The voice was soft, feminine, familiar. Kale stepped forward, her expression distant, reflective. Her green hair caught the starlight, glowing faintly. "It calls to me at night," she said quietly. "It feels like a mother who lost her children, or maybe children who lost their home. I don't know which."
Goku turned, studying her aura, wild, unstable, but pure. "It's the planet's key," he said softly. "It's bound to us now. Every Saiyan heartbeat feeds it. Every act of pride wakes it more." Kale nodded slowly, eyes distant. "Then what happens when it fully wakes?" Goku didn't answer. He didn't need to. The silence spoke for him, and it wasn't kind. Far away, in the royal citadel, King Vegeta dreamed. He stood in a void of red and gold, surrounded by endless echoes of battle, visions of his people's rise and fall. He saw Frieza's face, cold and smiling. He saw the explosion that ended their world. Then he saw something else, a blinding light, the shape of a dragon, and a new planet reborn beneath twin suns. "Do you see now, King of Ashes?" The voice was deep, ethereal, layered with the echoes of thousands. It came from everywhere and nowhere. "Who are you?" Vegeta demanded. "I am what you wish to be," it replied. "The memory of your pride, the voice of every Saiyan who refused to die." He fell to his knees, overwhelmed by the heat that radiated through the air. It wasn't fire, it was energy, dense and alive, pressing against his skin like the weight of judgment. "What do you want from me?" The voice laughed, like cracking stone. "What all kings want, to rise again." The dream dissolved into crimson light. The next morning, the city awoke to tremors. Buildings shuddered, cracks formed along the streets. The skies darkened unnaturally, clouds swirling like a living vortex. Goku was already moving before anyone called his name. He could feel it, the energy rising from deep within the crust, spreading upward like veins of fire. He appeared at the capital's heart just as the ground split open. A column of red-gold energy shot into the sky, spiraling, twisting, reshaping itself into form. The air warped, space itself bent. Out of the fissure rose a shape, massive, radiant, neither beast nor god, but something between. Its body shimmered like molten glass, its eyes twin orbs of burning ki. It had no true face, yet its presence was unmistakable. It was planet Vegeta, made flesh. Every Saiyan fell silent. Some dropped to their knees instinctively, others trembled in awe. The being's voice boomed through the atmosphere, resonating with every atom. "Children of flame, you have awakened me!"
The world quaked with the words. Goku floated upward, facing the colossal entity. "You're the planet's spirit," he said. "You've been feeding on our energy." The being's light pulsed. "I am the echo of your pride, the soul forged from every conquest, every death. You gave me life again, and I will give you destiny." Goku's expression hardened. "Destiny isn't something you take, it's something you choose." The spirit's laughter rumbled through the skies. "Then choose, son of Earth. Bow to the flame that birthed you, or be consumed by it." Energy surged downward, engulfing the capital in light.
Warriors screamed as the wave of raw ki tore through the air, knocking even the strongest to their knees. Goku darted forward, deflecting the blast, the force vibrating through his bones. "Whis!" he shouted. "Get the others clear!" But Whis was already gone, shimmering between realms, guiding civilians away with divine calm. Goku faced the spirit again, his aura blazing. "I won't fight you to destroy you, but I won't let you use them either." The spirit leaned closer, its form warping and reforming like fire in a storm. "You cannot destroy me, Goku. I am every battle you've ever fought, every rage you've buried." Goku's eyes narrowed. "Then I'll do what I always do." He clenched his fists. "I'll go beyond it." He exploded into golden light. Super Saiyan Blue ignited, the energy pure and controlled, radiating like a star reborn. The clash of divine and ancestral power lit the skies, godhood meeting legacy, mercy meeting wrath. The shockwave tore through the heavens. Below, the Saiyans looked up in awe as their savior and their planet's soul collided, their world trembling between creation and destruction. In the silence between impacts, Goku's mind went still. The spirit's energy racked around him, pressing into his heart, showing him flashes, endless Saiyan faces, old and new, their triumphs and their grief. He saw King Vegeta weeping in the shadows of his throne. He saw Caulifla defiant, Kaba hopeful, Kale trembling in wonder. He saw himself, a boy with a tail, staring at the moon, unaware of the weight his blood carried. And within that vision, he understood. The fire that defined their race was never evil. It was simply lost. He opened his eyes, glowing brighter than before. "You're not our enemy," he whispered to the spirit. "You're our mirror." He reached out his hand, not to strike, but to connect. Light met light.
And for the first time since its rebirth, the planet hesitated. The skies froze, the heartbeats slowed, the world itself seemed to hold its breath. "Remember," Goku said softly, voice echoing through the void, "mercy isn't weakness. It's how fire learns to keep others warm." The being shuddered, and then screamed. Its body fractured into 1,000 shards of light, each drifting upward into the clouds. The heavens wept flame. Goku fell through the light, silent, eyes closed. The silence that followed was unbearable. The air hung thick with the scent of ash and divine light, and the heavens above still shimmered faintly from the echo of the clash. The crimson clouds had torn apart, revealing the quiet infinity of stars, and in that stillness, Goku fell, slow, weightless, descending through drifting embers that once formed the planet's rage. He landed hard, knees sinking into the soil. Steam rose from his body, his breath heavy but steady. He was alive. The world was too. For a moment, there was no sound, only the slow crackle of energy fading into dust. Then faintly, the people began to emerge from the ruins. Saiyans, children, warriors, the reborn sons and daughters of fire, standing in stunned reverence beneath the wounded sky. Caulifla was the first to move. Her aura flickered like a dying flame as she ran forward, helping him to his feet. You did it," she breathed. "You stopped it." Goku shook his head. "No, I didn't stop it. I heard it." He looked to the sky, where the last fragments of the planet's spirit dissolved into light. It wasn't trying to destroy us. It was trying to remember what it meant to exist. Kaba stepped beside her, voice trembling. And what did it remember? Goku smiled faintly. That mercy doesn't erase strength. it gives it meaning. The words spread quietly among the crowd, carried by whispers and awe. The Saiyans stared not at his power, but at his calm. For perhaps the first time in their long, turbulent existence, they saw strength that did not roar, strength that breathed. That night the sky wept meteors. The remnants of the spirit's energy fell back to earth as glowing fragments that sank into the soil. Wherever they landed, life began to grow. Small, luminous plants that shimmered faintly in the dark. The planet, it seemed, had chosen peace over vengeance. Goku sat by one of those glowing fields, his legs crossed, his eyes half closed in meditation. The grass pulsed gently beneath his fingertips, alive with quiet ki. He could feel the difference in the world now. The heartbeat of the planet no longer raged, it resonated, still powerful, but balanced. Whis appeared beside him, the night air rippling faintly with his arrival. "You've done something remarkable, Goku. You've not only tamed a world, you've taught it to feel." Goku chuckled softly. "Guess that makes two of us."
Whis tilted his head. "And yet you've unsettled the heavens again. Do you think the Grand Priest will see this as harmony or heresy?" Goku opened one eye, smiling slightly. "Maybe both." Whis sighed, though his lips curved with faint amusement. "You mortals have a strange way of dancing with danger. But I must admit, it's never dull." In the capital, King Vegeta stood at the balcony of his palace, the twin moons reflected in his armor. The once proud warrior gazed down at his people, rebuilding, not from conquest, but from revelation. The fires of pride that had burned so long now flickered with something gentler. Not fear, not submission, respect. He closed his eyes and remembered his dream, the voice of the planetary spirit, the promise of destiny reborn. But now he understood what it had truly meant. Destiny was not given, it was chosen. Behind him, Taurus approached, still bandaged from his earlier defeat. "My king," he said quietly, bowing his head. "They speak of Kakarot as if he were divine." The king's gaze remained on the horizon. "Then let them speak. Every world needs a myth, and every myth needs a lesson." Taurus frowned. "And what lesson is that?" He turned away, his voice softer. "He is not our God. He is our reminder." Far from the city, Caulifla and Kale trained beneath the falling meteors, their movements fluid, their laughter echoing across the plains. There was no rivalry tonight, only shared purpose. When they paused, Caulifla looked to the stars, wiping sweat from her brow. "Do you think we can really be different?" she asked. Kale nodded gently. "We already are. He showed us that strength isn't something we take, it's something we give." Caulifla smiled, a rare softness in her eyes. "Yeah, guess he did." They looked up again, and in the night sky, a faint constellation shimmered, a shape that looked almost like a dragon's heart. The world itself had begun to remember. Later, as the dawn broke, Goku stood once more on the cliffs. The twin suns rose slowly, their light washing over the reborn world. Below him, the Saiyans trained, but this time, their energy was different. The roars were still there, the sparks still flew, but woven within it was something new. Discipline, awareness, a strange harmony between rage and reflection. Whis appeared behind him, hands clasped behind his back. "It seems you've taught them mercy after all." Goku smiled, eyes glimmering with the sunrise. "Nah, they taught it to themselves. I just reminded them who they are." Whis chuckled. "A planet reborn, a race transformed, and yet you stand here like a man still searching for something." Goku looked up, the light catching in his hair. "Maybe that's just who I am. The fight's never really about winning or losing, it's about becoming, every time." Whis tilted his head thoughtfully. "And what do you think you're becoming, Goku?" He smiled softly. "Someone who finally understands what strength is for." The wind rose, carrying his words out into the open horizon.
The twin suns flared brighter, and for a heartbeat, the whole world seemed to bow in silence, not to him, but to the idea he carried. Mercy born from fire. The Saiyans had found their teacher. The planet had found its peace. And somewhere, beyond the veil of universes, the gods themselves turned their eyes toward him, curious, silent, and faintly afraid. For the fire that learns compassion can burn brighter than any god. The calm did not last. It never does in the stories of gods and mortals. For every act of creation, there is an echo, a ripple that demands to be answered. When Goku's wish restored planet Vegeta, when his heart defied the natural law of destruction, the fabric of divine balance trembled. What mortals called miracle, the gods called interference. And the gods were watching. The meeting of the divine was held not in time or space, but in a dimension of stillness, a white expanse where reality itself seemed to kneel. Here, seated in perfect symmetry, were the angels and the gods of destruction of all surviving universes. At the center stood the Grand Priest. His eyes were calm, yet endless, the kind of stillness that could erase whole realities without changing expression. He spoke, and the void itself seemed to listen. "Universe 6 has shifted," he said. "The energy signature of a reborn world disrupts the equilibrium between creation and erasure. The balance ordained by Zeno-sama has been altered." A murmur rippled through the gathering. Champa's voice broke the silence first, indignant but trembling. "Altered? You make it sound like a crime? My universe deigned a world, not a weapon." Across from him, Beerus leaned back in his chair, his golden eyes glinting with restrained disdain. "Don't play the fool, Champa. You and I both know who's behind this." Champa scowled. "Your golden-haired pet mortal, perhaps?" Beerus's tail flicked lazily. "He's not my pet. He's my problem." The Grand Priest raised a hand. Silence fell again. "The mortal known as Son Goku has performed an act reserved for the divine. The Super Dragon Balls are the breath of creation itself, and yet he used them not to elevate his own power, but to rewrite cosmic memory. Planet Vegeta's rebirth has drawn attention from beyond the circle of our domains." "Beyond?" murmured Vados, her voice soft but wary. "You mean—" "Yes," the Grand Priest said. "From before the first erasure. From the spaces that were not supposed to exist anymore." The gods exchanged uneasy glances. Even Beerus's ears twitched. "An old energy has begun to stir. The remnants of the universes erased by Zeno-sama. And they are responding to the same vibration that awakened planet Vegeta." Meanwhile, back on the reborn world, that same vibration hummed faintly beneath the soil. The Saiyans felt it in their bones without knowing what it was, an unease that bled into their dreams. Some called it destiny, others divine reckoning. But Goku, he recognized it for what it was, a summons.
He sat alone in meditation near a waterfall that shimmered with ki, his reflection broken by ripples of light. He could feel the pull, not of time or place, but of judgment. Whis appeared beside him, expression calm, though his voice carried an edge of gravity, rare even for him. "You've been called." Goku opened his eyes slowly. "By who?" "The Grand Priest. He wishes to see you in the Chamber of Equilibrium." Goku smiled faintly. "Sounds serious." "It is." Whis' eyes softened. "You've touched the thread of creation itself, Goku. Few mortals could have even conceived such a wish, let alone survived its consequence. But the gods are not moved by intent, they are moved by order." Goku stood, brushing the dust from his hands. "Guess I'll just have to explain myself." Whis tilted his head. "And if explanation isn't enough? Then I'll fight for what I believe," Goku said, his voice calm. "Same as always." Whis sighed, though a faint smile curved his lips.
You mortals truly are exhausting." He raised his staff, a sphere of pale light enveloped them both, and in an instant they were gone. The chamber of equilibrium was not a place, it was the absence of all places, a skyless void where reality floated like dust in golden light. When Goku arrived, he felt small, not in fear, but in awe. Before him stood beings whose mere presence could bend galaxies. Their auras were divine, controlled, endless, and at their center, the Grand Priest. He stepped forward, bowing slightly. "You wanted to see me." The Grand Priest's voice was smooth, like wind in a vacuum. "Son Goku, you have disturbed the flow of creation. You wished not for yourself, but for an entire world, a world that the gods themselves deemed erased. Tell me, why?" Goku looked up, his gaze clear, "Because I couldn't stop thinking about what it means to lose everything. My people, they died for their pride. I thought maybe if they got a second chance, they could learn what strength really is, not just power, meaning." The Grand Priest studied him for a long, silent moment. The other gods watched like stars holding their breath. Finally, the Grand Priest spoke again, "And what gives a mortal the right to teach meaning to a race built on destruction?" Goku smiled faintly, "Because I came from them, and I learned mercy from those they tried to destroy. Maybe that's balance." The chamber fell silent. Even the angels looked away, not out of disrespect, but out of reverence for what they felt in his words. The Grand Priest closed his eyes, as if listening to something far away. "You speak with faith, Goku, but faith can be dangerous when it echoes too loudly through creation." He opened his eyes again, and in them burned an unearthly light. "A storm approaches. The erased universes stir. You may have reignited more than your people's hope. You may have summoned what the gods buried."
Goku's heart stilled. "Then I'll face it." "You cannot face what does not exist." Goku's expression hardened. "Then I'll bring it back. If the erased have voices, they deserve to be heard." A faint smile ghosted across the Grand Priest's lips, part sadness, part admiration. "You would challenge oblivion itself." Goku's ki flickered, calm and radiant. "If it means no one has to be forgotten again." The Grand Priest's hand rose slowly, and the golden light in the chamber trembled. "Then, Son Goku, the gods shall test the worth of your mercy." The light shattered. Reality folded in on itself, and Goku vanished into the trial of eternity. Far below, on the reborn planet Vegeta, the ground quaked once more. The stars dimmed, and somewhere in the heart of the world, the ancient fire stirred, whispering Goku's name like a prayer. When the light returned, Goku found himself standing in a void that was not empty, a realm between the breath of gods. It looked like space, but it wasn't. Stars hung in stillness, frozen mid-glow, their light unmoving. He floated upon nothing, yet every direction carried weight, as if eternity were watching him. He had entered the trial of balance, the test of those who tamper with divine law. A voice spoke, not from outside, but from within, deep, resonant, both gentle and terrible. "Son Goku, you have defied hierarchy, broken the stillness of creation, and blurred the boundary between mortal will and divine order. Tell us, do you regret your wish?" Goku looked upward into the silence. "No, not for a second." The voice grew louder, echoing through the bones of time. "Then prove it." The still stars around him began to move, slowly at first, then faster, until the void itself twisted into motion. From the darkness, figures began to form, translucent silhouettes shifting, humming with ancient energy. They were not gods, not mortals. They were memories of existence, fragments of the erased universes that had been swallowed by Zeno's erasures long ago. They spoke in broken voices, overlapping like wind through shattered glass. Why did you wake us? Why bring pain back into the light? We were silent. Now we remember. The sight froze even Goku's heart. They were beings made of sorrow, faces flickering between identities, their forms unraveling like smoke. Yet beneath the anguish, he felt something deeper, the yearning to exist again.
Goku's voice was steady. I didn't wake you to hurt you. I wanted to remind the gods, and maybe all of us, that even erased things matter. The shadows trembled. Then one stepped forward. It took shape, a tall humanoid figure cloaked in cosmic mist, its eyes hollow suns. Then fight, it said. Show us that existence deserves memory. Without another word, the void erupted. The first wave struck like the roar of a dying star. Goku braced himself, aura flaring blue, deflecting the cosmic blast with a twist of his wrist. The impact rippled outward, scattering fragments of forgotten universes into glowing dust. He darted forward, faster than thought, his body cutting through the storm like a beam of spirit. He struck, but the shadow reformed, infinite and formless. Your fists cannot touch what is no longer real. You fight ghosts. Goku stopped mid-air, breathing deeply. Then I'll fight with more than fists. He closed his eyes. The golden blue of his aura dimmed, shifting, softening. Every part of him slowed, his breath aligning with the still rhythm of the void. The energy that radiated from him wasn't power, it was clarity. The form was not ultra instinct, not entirely. It was something quieter, more human. Whis had once called it spirit equilibrium. He reached out, not to strike, but to touch. The shadow froze as his palm met its chest, or what passed for one, and in that touch, light flowed. The ghost's eyes flickered, hollow suns softening to starlight. It gasped, as though remembering breath. You hear us. I do. You're not gone. You're part of what makes everything matter. Even the gods forgot that. The other shadows wavered. The storm faltered. Around them, the void shimmered like glass beneath water. For a moment, the trial seemed to yield. But the voice, the one that had sunned him, returned, sharper now. Mercy does not erase consequence. Before he could answer, the light shattered again. From the rift stepped a new figure, vast, radiant, impossible. Its form was shifting between gods, between angels, between everything divine. The embodiment of order itself, the arbiter of balance. Its eyes were pure creation, its voice, the silence between worlds.
Goku floated, calm but resolute. If eternity forgot what compassion feels like, yeah, I would. The arbiter extended its hand, then faced the shape of your own consequence. A sphere of light formed in its palm, not gold, not blue, but pure white, the color of memory. The energy burst outward, surrounding Goku, reshaping the void around him into a mirror of the world he loved most, Earth. He stood now upon a silent plain, no sky, no sound, just the memory of wind. Before him stood himself. But it wasn't the Goku he knew. This version was taller, darker, his aura unstable, red, violet, black, alive with destruction. His expression was not kind, it was empty.
The Arbiter's voice filled the air. This is what mercy would become without wisdom. The version of you that saves without understanding, that resurrects without balance. The Dark Goku smiled faintly. You think kindness saves worlds? He said, voice like the breaking of glass. It only postpones the inevitable. Goku lowered his stance, eyes narrowing. Then let's see whose truth survives. The two Saiyans moved at once. The clash tore the illusion apart. Fists met faster than light. Energy thundered through eternity. Goku fought himself, not his reflection, but his fear that mercy could one day fail, that his compassion could give birth to new ruin. Every blow was a question, every block an answer. At last, they locked hands, light and shadow struggling in silence. The ground beneath them cracked like glass. You can't win, said the Dark Goku. You'll keep saving, keep forgiving, and they'll keep breaking what you build. Maybe, Goku said, pushing back, but that's what makes it worth it. The light flared, not from rage, but from acceptance. The shadow screamed as it dissolved, its energy returning to the void. The world around him fell away once more. Goku floated alone in silence. Then faintly, the Grand Priest's voice returned, distant but calm. The trial is complete. Goku's eyes opened slowly. So, what happens now? The voice said. The balance shifts, but whether it breaks or transcends depends on what you do next.
Light engulfed him again. He fell back into existence, into the crimson skies of planet Vegeta. The wind roared, the stars spun, and Whis stood waiting at his side. You were gone for only a moment, Whis said. But your ki, he smiled softly. It feels like the universe itself breathed through you. Goku looked toward the horizon, where the twin suns rose again. The gods wanted to test mercy. I think maybe mercy tested them back. The wind carried his laughter, soft, human, endless. But far above, in the divine realm, the Grand Priest stood motionless, eyes closed. A faint tremor ran through his staff. The erased ones stir, he murmured, and Son Goku's wish has given them a door. In the distance, stars flickered, one by one, as something ancient began to awaken. The skies of planet Vegeta burned once more, not from war this time, but from awakening. The energy that had once belonged to the planet's spirit pulsed anew, faint yet undeniable, weaving itself into the fabric of the universe. Every Saiyan felt it, in their bones, in their breath, in the echo of their heartbeat. A strange harmony, both sacred and unsettling, now threaded through their ki. Goku stood at the edge of the reconstructed city, wind lifting his hair as he looked upward. The air shimmered faintly, as if reality itself were vibrating. Whis hovered nearby, his staff humming with a soft celestial frequency. They're not sleeping anymore, Whis said quietly. Goku turned to him. The erased ones? Whis nodded, his expression unreadable. Your trial did not destroy their resonance. It amplified it. In trying to show the gods mercy, you made the forgotten remember they once existed. Goku frowned, the weight of that truth settling on his chest. So, I didn't just save my people. Whis's gaze met his. You may have saved everyone or doomed everything. Before either could speak again, the ground beneath them trembled. A wave of ki rippled across the horizon, strong enough to bend the air. Goku's instincts sharpened. This wasn't mortal energy. It was divine, but fractured. From the twin suns' horizon, a column of light erupted, violet and silver, spiraling upward like a scar through heaven.
Goku and Whis turned toward it just as reality itself cracked open. And from that rift, they stepped through. Figures draped in shattered halos, their auras flickering like broken starlight. They were gods, or what remained of them, fragments of erased universes given temporary form. Their faces were obscured by the distortion of energy, but their presence was suffocating. One stepped forward, its voice a chorus of many. You touched the thread of remembrance, mortal. You pulled us from silence. Tell us, what world have we returned to?
Goku's eyes narrowed. One that's still learning how to live. The being tilted its head, faint light spilling from its cracked crown. Then perhaps it is time the living remembered what they buried. The words rippled through the world like thunder. All across planet Vegeta, Saiyans fell to their knees, clutching their heads. Visions flashed, memories that weren't theirs, worlds they'd never seen, lives they'd never lived. The key of erased creation poured into their souls, too vast to contain. Goku gritted his teeth, aura flaring gold blue as he held the energy back. "Stop! They're not ready for this!" The broken god looked at him with something like pity. Neither were we. It raised its hand. In an instant, the skies bled light. Energy rained down, divine and untamed. The mountains split. Oceans turned to mist. Time itself began to shudder. Goku moved, faster than sound, faster than thought. Every muscle screamed as he launched himself upward, meeting the blast with his own energy. The collision was cataclysmic, light devouring light, power folding in on itself. He shouted through the roar, his voice cutting through the chaos. "You're not enemies, you're echoes. Don't destroy what we finally learned to protect." For a heartbeat, the energy wavered. The being paused, perhaps remembering, perhaps feeling. But then the air tore open again, and more of them stepped through. Whis appeared beside him, shielding his face from the radiance. "This is beyond the balance of gods," he said softly. "This is the return of what should never have been." Goku clenched his fists. "Then maybe that's why I'm here." He vanished, reappearing above the lead entity, his aura flaring into a form beyond even instinct, a calm fire, white and silver, wrapped in gold. The power was silent, steady, divine yet mortal. The equilibrium state. He struck once, not to destroy, but to connect. His palm met the god's chest, and once again, light met light. But this time, he didn't see darkness or hatred. He saw sorrow. Millions of voices screamed within him, fragments of existence pleading to be remembered. Not for vengeance, but for recognition, for meaning. He spoke through the light, his voice shaking. "You're not gone. You're still part of everything. Every key, every breath, it's all connected. You're not erased. You're home." The light shifted. The beings faltered, their forms flickering like dying embers. The energy that once sought to consume began to quiet. Then, slowly, one by one, they knelt. The air softened. The rift above closed, sealing with a sound like a sigh. The light dimmed. The storm ended.
And silence fell again. When the dust cleared, the broken gods were gone. Only the faint shimmer of starlight remained, scattered across the sky like a promise kept. Goku hovered above the world, body trembling but heart steady. He looked down upon the Saiyans, alive, shaken but safe. Whis floated beside him, smiling faintly. "You did it again," Whis said. "You made the impossible yield." Goku chuckled weakly. "Guess I can't help it." Whis's gaze drifted upward. "You've taught the gods what they forgot, and the forgotten what they truly were. But the balance you've created, it's fragile. The universe will need to choose whether to preserve it or purge it." Goku looked out toward the stars. "Then I'll keep reminding them,
until they remember what being alive really means. The wind carried his words like prayer. Far beyond the reach of mortals, the Grand Priest stood before the two Xenos, the twin sovereigns of existence. Their faces were unreadable, their childlike voices soft but echoing across realities. Goku made something new. It's pretty. It doesn't fit the rules. Should we erase it? The Grand Priest bowed his head. He has done what no god or mortal has ever done. He balanced remembrance and mercy. Perhaps even we must learn from that. The two Xenos looked at each other, giggling faintly. Then let's see what happens next. Their hands touched and the cosmos trembled. A new dawn began to rise across the universes, faint, unseen, but inevitable. And somewhere, on a quiet cliff beneath twin suns, Goku opened his eyes and smiled, unaware that destiny itself had just shifted its gaze. The twin suns rose like watchful eyes, spilling molten light across the scarred plains of planet Vegeta. The air still hummed with the residue of battle, echoes of divinity trembling beneath mortal skies. For the first time since the wish, the world stood still. Yet silence never meant peace. Not here, not yet. Goku sat cross-legged atop a shattered cliff, his ji torn, his breath slow and measured. Around him, the morning wind carried the scent of ozone and ash. His body ached, but his spirit burned quietly, not in triumph, but in understanding. He had looked into the face of oblivion and found within it a pulse, a longing, a heart. He smiled faintly, eyes half closed. Guess even the gods needed a reminder. Behind him, Whis appeared as if born from the air itself, staff glimmering softly. His voice, calm as ever, broke the fragile stillness. You've done something that will echo far beyond this universe, Goku. The erased ones stir. The gods question their own perfection. You have disrupted eternity. Goku chuckled softly. Then maybe eternity needed a shake-up. Whis tilted his head, studying him. You speak like one who has seen beyond the boundary of creation. Maybe I have, Goku said quietly. When I touched that energy, those voices, it wasn't rage I felt. It was loneliness. Even destruction gets lonely, Whis.
The angel's eyes glimmered faintly. Compassion for destruction itself. You are a most inconvenient mortal. Yeah, Goku laughed. I get that a lot. Far below, in the great hall of the newly restored capital, King Vegeta convened his council. The banners of the old empire hung once more, but now they fluttered beside something new, the sigil of two suns crossing paths, etched into white cloth, a symbol not of conquest, but of rebirth. Word spread across the stars, Taurus reported, kneeling before his king. The gods of destruction are divided. Some call for our annihilation, others for observation. It seems our fate depends on Goku's defiance. The king's gaze was hard, but beneath the stern mask flickered a glimmer of thought. He carries the burden of gods and mortals alike, yet he calls himself neither. Taurus hesitated, then spoke carefully. Do you trust him, my king? The king turned toward the window, where the crimson horizon shimmered. Trust? No. But I believe in him. He carries the flaw our race never learned to cherish. Doubt. That is what keeps him human, and what may save us all. Far from the cities, Caulifla and Kale sparred under the open suns, their movements sharp, alive, full of fire. The air cracked around them as they exchanged blows, the shockwaves tearing lines through the earth. Stronger, Caulifla barked, grinning through sweat and dust. Come on, Kale, you're holding back again. Kale dodged a blast, countering with a burst of green ki that sent Caulifla tumbling through a boulder. She blinked, stunned, then laughed, wild and joyous. That's it! That's what I'm talking about!
Kale smiled faintly, lowering her fists. It wasn't anger that gave me strength. It was gratitude. Caulifla froze, caught off guard by the simplicity of the word. Gratitude wasn't something Saiyans were used to naming. It felt holy. For a moment, neither spoke. They simply stood beneath the light, two warriors reborn from a legacy of rage, learning slowly how to breathe without it. Meanwhile, far above, within the high halls of the Grand Priest, the air shimmered with unease. The assembled gods, Beerus, Champa, Belmod, and others, stood in a half-circle before the dais. The Grand Priest regarded them with quiet gravity. You all feel it. The universe's shift. Balance trembles. Son Goku's actions have touched the very structure of creation. Beerus crossed his arms, tail flicking lazily. The fool doesn't know when to stop meddling. But, he paused, eyes narrowing. He hasn't destroyed anything, has he? The Grand Priest smiled faintly. Not yet. Vado stepped forward, her tone contemplative. He has not broken balance. He has reframed it. The mortals of Universe 6 have begun meditating, feeling, praying. Champa snorted. Praying? Saiyans? Vadus nodded. To something they call the Flame of Mercy.
The room fell silent. Even Beerus blinked, his expression unreadable. A religion? No, the Grand Priest said. An awakening. He turned, his staff glowing faintly. In the orb at its tip, visions of planet Vegeta shimmered. Saiyans training not in fury, but in focus. Not destroying to prove their worth, but creating to test their spirit. Their power had not weakened, it had refined. Goku has done what no god ever dared, the Grand Priest murmured. He has taught mortals how to feel without fear. Back on the planet, Goku stood at the valley's edge as the suns began to set. The crimson light painted the world in gold. He could feel the rhythm of the planet beneath him, no longer violent, no longer pleading, just alive. Whis stood beside him. You know, if the gods truly understood you, they might see you as a threat. Goku smiled. Maybe, but if they understand me, they'll know I'm not here to fight them. Whis tilted his head. Then what are you here for? Goku turned toward the horizon, eyes shining like a man who had glimpsed infinity. To remind them what they forgot. The suns dipped lower, and the reflection glowed in his eyes, two worlds mirrored in one. And as the light faded, far beyond mortal sight, the erased universes flickered once more, not in vengeance, but in recognition. Tiny sparks reigniting in the dark, whispering his name through the fabric of everything. Son Goku, the mortal who taught the gods to feel. The stars shivered in quiet applause. The cosmos, for the first time, remembered mercy.